12 points to remember when hearing the voice of God. First point was don't make guidance complicated. And that's a very important thing. Again, from the book Is That Really You, God? By Lauren Cunningham. Some things that help us in not making guidance complicated is to hear God's voice. We must submit, resist, and expect. Submit to the Lordship of Christ, resist the enemy, and expect to receive an answer. Alright, point number 2. Allow God to speak to me in the way He chooses. Don't try to dictate to Him concerning the guidance methods you prefer. He is Lord, you are His servant. So He said to Samuel, go and lie down again. And if someone calls again, say, yes, Lord, your servant is listening. So Samuel went back to bed. You got Samuel, he keeps hearing this voice, and he's thinking it's Eli. And so he gets up, yes, sir, what do you want? And he's like, no, I didn't say anything. And Eli realizes that God is speaking to Samuel. And so for Samuel in that situation, he was speaking in an audible voice. And it wasn't until Eli could help, in a sense, disciple him and allowing him to see that it was from the Lord by saying, hey, alright, I understand you, Lord, are speaking to me. I'm here, I'm your servant, now I'm listening. But the key thing here is not trying to dictate. We're not trying to tell him, hey, you got to tell me this way, or you got to do it this way. We have to be open and allow him to speak in whatever way he chooses. Fiji, sugarcane. So, listen with a yielded heart. There is a direct link between yieldness and hearing. He may choose to speak to you through His Word. This could come in your daily reading, or He could guide you to a particular verse. It could be sometimes from devotion books and such. But His Word is alive and active, sharper than any two-edged sword. It's what we get our direction from. It's our opportunity to get teaching and understanding and guidance and obviously knowledge, but more importantly, getting wisdom. All comes through His Word. Psalm 119, verse 105. Your word is a lamp for my feet and a light for my path. Good old utters. He may choose to speak through an audible voice. That'd be kind of cool. Never experienced this, but doesn't mean He isn't going to try to do it. Exodus chapter 3, verse 4. When the Lord saw that He had caught Moses' attention, God called to him from the bush, Moses, Moses. So you got, God speaking through the burning bush to Moses, catching his attention. And imagine if I heard a voice in a bush that was on fire, it would catch my attention too. And of course, Moses said, "Here I am," with an exclamation mark. It called his attention. He may choose to speak to us through dreams. A lot of times in the past I've experienced this. I know one time God spoke to me when our first kid woke me up, said we're having a child. We didn't even know we're pregnant. And 2 weeks later we were receiving a mail, and here's how God spoke to us again. A letter that I wrote myself when I lived in New Zealand that kind of just said some things that were going to go, kind of predicting what was going to happen for the next year. And on that date that we received it, I said, we're going to be pregnant. And on that same day, Kelly goes to the doctor and we're pregnant. So God can choose many different ways, but He prepared me for that letter in a dream by telling me that we were pregnant. So, really cool. Nice little blowfish right there. We ate that one in Fiji. Matthew chapter 2, 12 through 13, and verses 19 through 23. But when it was time to leave, they went home another way, because God had warned them in a dream not to return to Herod. Now, after the wise men were gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. "Get up and flee to Egypt with the child and his mother." The angel said, "Stay there until I tell you to return, because Herod is going to try to kill the child." When Herod died, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and told him, "Get up, take the child and his mother back to the land of Israel, because those who were trying to kill the child are dead." So Joseph returned immediately to Israel with Jesus and his mother. But when he had learned that the new ruler was Herod's son Archelaus, he was afraid. Then in another dream he was warned to go to Galilee. So God chose to speak to Joseph through dreams. And this was a time when Herod had heard about Jesus and the reports that a new king was born, and Herod just freaked out and killed every kid 2 years old and younger. Very crazy time. But God spoke specifically to Joseph and said, "Let's go to Egypt." So he packed them up. They're headed to Egypt. But the beauty of it is, Joseph chose to be obedient. He listened to his dreams. So there might be times when you're sleeping and you get woken up, and there's an impression, or somebody might have been put on your heart in the dream, and you just ask God simply, "Is this a person you want me to pray for?" And there's many times I've been woken up in a dream. A person was laid on my heart. I prayed for them. Sometimes God would tell me to just email them or talk to them and let them know that I've prayed for them about a situation. And they're like, "How in the world did you know about that?" And encouraged them. Didn't freak them out, but it just encouraged them. And so, really a neat opportunity as well. God, He's creative. It's an adventure, man. Alright. Little spaceship cloud there in New Zealand. Also, through visions. And this is something I can help you with, because I get this more than any of the others. Isaiah 6:1. In the year King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord. He was sitting on the lofty throne, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Revelations chapter 1, 12-13 and 7. When I turned to see who was speaking to me, I saw 7 gold lampstands, and standing in the middle of the lampstand was the Son of Man. He was wearing a long robe with a gold sash across his chest. When I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead, but he laid his right hand on me and said, "Don't be afraid. I'm the first and the last." Visions, really what makes visions for many people is just when they pray, they get like a movie on their head, and taking whatever happens there and asking God to explain it. So it's really a common method. There's a group of people called the seer of the Old Testament. That's how they got guidance for kings, and that's still an active thing today. I pray with kids at Kings, and they're getting movies in their heads, and basically that's how God speaks to them. Sometimes it's through the Word, sometimes through pictures, and so God's creative. But probably the most common of all means is through that quiet inner voice. Isaiah 30:21. And you will hear a voice say, "This is the way, turn around and walk here." It's kind of that intuition, that impression, that feeling of guidance. And the beauty of all this is we get to test it and see if we're hearing correctly in whatever manner God chooses. And God's bigger than us, so if we do screw up, it's not a problem. The beauty of it is trying at least. So, you can see number 3 is coming up. Alright, man. Have a good day. Let me know when's a good time for you to meet this week.